Hey, what's up, fantasy football fans? It is week 15. Hopefully, you've been following along and are in your league's playoffs. Many leagues are starting their playoffs this week in week 15, some starting next week in week 16. But it all depends on how many teams make it the playoffs. But we're getting into playoff time. Teams should be pretty well set. Probably need to think about some handcuffs to your players as you get into the playoffs. All the buys are done, so you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And hopefully you've got yourself a pretty good seed coming in. So again, Glen Ritter here, Minnesota Insider for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You can follow me on X at Gritter13 and also on TikTok at IESR Minnesota. And joining me, as always, is my co-host, brother from another mother, Josh Ritter. Josh, how can people find you, and which teams do you cover?
You can find me at Josh Ritter 13 on X, and on TikTok, you can find me at josh.ritter57, where we're talking about all of my teams. It's an eclectic mix. We got the Miami Dolphins. As you can see, my Phoenix Suns, who are currently experiencing the Oklahoma City Thunder experience in the NBA Cup, down about I think 17 in the second quarter, maybe the first quarter still. It's really bad, but that's expected when you play OKC. And then the Florida Panthers, who play later tonight, the Oregon Ducks, and just a shout out to all of you to follow my TikTok account specifically, because I will be with my son at Autzen Stadium a week from Saturday for that Oregon Ducks playoff game against James Madison. So expect some updates there. I'm really excited about that. So my teams are scattered throughout the world right now and just loving life.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks for joining. And new to our account, we also have a End Zone Oracle account on X. So if you have any fantasy football questions throughout the week, send us a message right there. It went away. So on X, it's just at End Zone IESR. Find us there, follow us. You'll be able to follow each of us. Boy, this is my computer's acting up a little bit here. But anyway, make sure you chime in with any questions you have. Looks like we've got one comment here already. Let's take a look here. So we've got Taryn Rodriguez. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Taryn. Taryn is our Southern California insider, and he also is our volleyball expert. So he and I chat occasionally, talking about the NCAA women's volleyball tournament going on right now, which my Minnesota Gophers have moved on to the second round. So they're in the final 16 teams going to Pittsburgh. They're going to be playing them tomorrow night. So can't wait to watch that on, I believe it's on ESPN2. And Larry B., thanks for joining. Larry B. is the man who makes it all happen here with IE Sports Radio. So, Larry, thanks so much for tuning in. And again, any questions about who to start this week, matchup questions, any of those things, want to know about injuries, we've got a lot of those things covered. We're going to talk about tonight. And any questions, just throw them into the comment. So thanks, Taryn, for the information there. I appreciate that. I didn't realize all of the banners were on timers, but I know that some of the new ones are. So thank you very much. So let's get into our that one is but before I get into the show, IE Sports Radio, follow us, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, all of those places. You can find great information. Like I talked about, Taryn, covering Southern California. He follows the Chargers, Rams, Dodgers, Padres, volleyball, everything. And we've got people all across the country that have great shows as well. So if you can find all of us through especially YouTube. You can see all of our previous shows on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and go to IE Sports Radio. Find, like, subscribe, and you can see all of those shows. So let's get into our review of what happened in week 14. Let's talk about some of our top performers of the week. And so here, I always like, and part of this is going to be when I make a good prediction the previous week, I'm going to, embellish a little bit and share it, share it again of like, hey, I got one right, because we're not always right. We like to analyze data and come up with things. I was a lot better on the players that I said stay away from than I was on the players I said, oh, these guys are really going to go off. But one guy that really did go off was Josh Allen. And he was my start of the week at quarterback. And even though the weather was awful, he's just shown that he can play in the snow. He can play in any kind of weather. It doesn't matter if he's got wide receivers that he can really depend on. He's got Khalil Shakur and Keon Coleman on the outside, Josh Palmer, although he's banged up too. But his tight ends, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, he's good with just feeding those guys.
Mm-hmm.
He did that last week, putting up 37.84 points, most points by quarterbacks with this past week. The guy who scored the second most amount of points at the quarterback position was a little-known guy by the name of Shedeur Sanders. Did you know that he put up 33.46 points?
And never heard of him before.
Yeah, I know, right? You would think that like his dad being Deion Sanders would have heard more about him. But yeah, he's kind of just flown under the radar. He went like in the 5th round of this last draft. So I don't know.
Good for him.
Yeah, he put up some great numbers. Yeah. Oh, we got a couple more comments here. Oh, yeah. Just so Larry, Larry's throwing in some information here about our IESR fantasy league. Larry did finish with the #1 seed in the league, and with Dallas Parsons. Dallas Parsonson's disorder, which is Brian, who was the Patriots insider, finished second. Then we had Show Me Those TDs, which is Fred, is in 3rd place, and Justin Doerler suffering. Joey Jets is holding on to that 4th and final playoff spot right now. Bulls and Holes. So Dan, who's our Green Bay Packers insider, is sitting in 5th place. He and I are facing each other this week. So a Vikings fan taking on a Packers fan, which is going to be awesome. But Running to the Championships, which is Josh's team, is sitting in 6th place. I'm in 7th out of 8 teams. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah. Come on.
While you're saying that, it's rough because I do have the 2nd most points in the league still, but eliminated from playoff contention. So doesn't really matter how many points you score if you have the wrong matchups every week.
Anyway, so this week, it looks like it's going to be Larry B taking on Fred. So 1st and 2nd place. Looks like Larry's projected to win right now. So we'll see how that plays out. Then we've got Joey Jets taking on Brian. So we got a Jets fan against a Patriots fan. So in a little interdivisional rivalry there. Looks like a really close matchup or projection there within 1.5 points of each other. Again, I'm the Love Boat scandal. So as a Vikings fan, you have to kind of think back to what was it, about 15 years ago when some of the Vikings players just did something that they shouldn't have done when they were on bye. I'll just say that. And right now, again, that looks to be a pretty close matchup within 1 point of each other. But Dan and I will definitely make it challenging. And then again, Josh, you got the huge projection over Taryn, who is his team name is Bishop Sycamore. So thanks for putting all those in there, Larry. We're definitely looking forward to seeing how everything turns out this week. But let me go back.
So another quarterback that had a good performance last week, Joe Burrow.
Yes.
That team is not good, but he got almost 24 points. And you got to respect Joe Burrow. He knows his team's not making the playoffs this year. and yet he's coming back and he's playing ball. And if the guy that drafted him dropped him, pick him up and start him, because they're going to throw that football all over the field because their defense is awful. So
Oh, absolutely. And I think they're facing the Bills this weekend, right? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Bills defense
They're playing Baltimore. They played the
Baltimore. That's who it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Baltimore's defense hasn't been all that great this year either. So I think Joe Burrow is definitely going to put up some big numbers this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll probably be talking about him a little bit later on too, with some guys to start. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. We're both wrong. He's taking on the Texans. So actually, that might be one that you may want to wait a week, because the Texans defense is phenomenal.
Hold on here. I'm looking at the schedule. Cincinnati plays Baltimore.
Oh, it does.
The Texans play Arizona. So yeah. So
you're right. Where did I get that wrong? What was I looking at for?
I don't know. Yeah, they're playing Baltimore. So yeah, I would definitely consider Joe Burrow somebody that I would be.
Oh yeah. In that situation. Oh, I'm.
It's okay.
Green Bay is taking on the Broncos.
Oh,
that's the defense. That's the players I was.
No worries.
Thinking to avoid. Okay, let's get back to some of those top players again. Any other quarterbacks that you had on your list?
No.
Before we switch to running backs,
you highlighted the big ones, so we can move on to the running backs.
Yeah. So running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs again. He went off. He was phenomenal last Thursday. 37 points. He is one of those players that I've been very fortunate to have him on two of my teams, and in both of those leagues that I have him, I finished first in points in those leagues last week. So he has been not every single week, but he has been a pretty darn consistent player. He's put up some huge numbers this year. Other running backs, Tony Pollard had a huge week. Not necessarily rostered in every league, so if he's out there, definitely somebody worth picking up. And then Blake Corum. Blake Corum is turning the Rams backfield into a timeshare. He has been splitting pretty much every series with Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams gets the first series, Blake Corum gets a second, and then back and forth all game long unless one of them gets tired. And Blake Corum has a tendency of getting more of those goal line carries too. So definitely somebody worth rostering. And I think we'll be talking about that in a little bit too. Any other running backs that jumped out at you?
The guy that I've been trailing a week behind on every single week throughout the season is Travis Etienne. I swear, every time I tell you that the man's not going to be the one that you want to start, a good week. And every time I tell you, hey, this is the week where he's going to be really good, it's a nothing burger. And I told you all last week, Travis Etienne, you can't trust him. And here he is, 21.
Yep. See, and now you're going to think, okay, well, now they're facing the Jets. How do you not start Travis Etienne? And I think we can both probably say with a little bit of confidence that he's probably going to put up a pretty subpar performance.
2-point game. Yeah, that's how the season's been. It is the conundrum of fantasy football. Sometimes, like you were just talking about Blake Corum. Who do you start in the Rams backfield? You don't know week to week.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like that. You just don't know.
Yep, exactly. Let's see. Going on to wide receivers, Michael Wilson has been just phenomenal for the Cardinals. And if he is available in your league, pick him up. Now, I don't think have a great matchup this week. If I look back, they're facing the Texans.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play him against that defense because of what they've done they did to the Chiefs last week. I mean, they're shutting teams down. They have a fantastic defense.
Yeah.
And then Puka Nacua was the other one that I had made a note about. He just put up 35.7 points, and so he's definitely a player that can carry you, and probably did in week 14. Any other receivers that jumped out at you?
I got a kind of a proceed with caution on a guy that kind of came out of nowhere and had a really good game. Ryan Flournoy for
Mhm.
the Dallas Cowboys had a huge game. And if that was week 2, I might be sitting here in week 3 saying someone to stash on your back of your roster, keep an eye on. Does he continue to have the target share? It really did come out of nowhere. Do not stake your playoff futures on a guy like Ryan Flournoy with off of one good performance. So while he had 26.5 points, for me, that's fool's gold. You have to be really careful with that. One good game does not equal consistent production. And if you look at his production the weeks prior, it was very low.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, just a word of caution. You had a good week. If you're looking to pick somebody up, only put him in your starting lineup if you're desperate, because I just wouldn't trust it week to week.
Yeah, but he could be a good handcuff to CD Lamb, because if CD
That is
Lamb, I think a lot of that took place after CD Lamb left with a concussion. Now, I think he's still limited in concussion protocol, so I'm not sure if he's going to be cleared to play by Sunday night against the Vikings. But it would be worth having him on your roster if you've got a spot, just in case he's not going to be able to play. It gives you some flexibility.
Yeah, I'd still trust a lot of the second wide receivers on a lot of the other teams over the third wideout that may or may not be that second wideout for the Cowboys going forward. But you're right. If you're really limited at receiver, if you've got a couple injuries, he's definitely someone to consider.
Well, and here's my thought on it. If you've got CD Lamb on your team and you want to have him in your starting lineup, but they're playing Sunday night, that means every other player, the receiver, is going to be done except for the Monday night players. You're kind of limited on who you can plug into that spot if CD Lamb is inactive. Now, if you find out that CD Lamb is cleared concussion protocol and is going to be playing, well, then he's in your lineup. But if you need that insurance, if you're unsure until the afternoon games are in progress, that's somebody that you plug in if you are in that boat.
And that's why you're the Oracle, because that is an excellent point. Like you have to be careful when you're one of your main starters is a night game, because it is harder to replace.
Yeah,
for sure.
Let's see other top performers: Harold Fanon at tight end, and Viking legend receiving threat Josh Oliver going off and scoring 2 touchdowns for the Vikings against the Washington Commanders. I didn't see it coming. Nobody did. Josh Oliver didn't see it coming. But Harold Fanon, like I said, was 25.4 points, and Josh Oliver was 16.4. So it really is 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, and 24 yards total. So, but touchdowns count.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other one that I think could be sustainable and someone to look at, you could probably pick up, Mike Gesicki tends to disappear in the Cincinnati Bengals offense when Joe Burrow's not playing. But now that Joe Burrow's playing, he likes Mike Gesicki, and he had over 20 points this week. I think that's sustainable for him. So I would be okay putting him in my starting lineup this week.
Yeah, he would definitely be somebody. If you're in a situation where, like for me, I've got Tyler Warren in one of my leagues, and with Daniel Jones being out and them looking at either Phillip Rivers or Riley Leonard as a starting quarterback, I don't want him in my lineup in the playoffs. No. So I'm starting Darren Waller, who I picked up a couple of weeks ago, and thankfully I did, because I had been just running with Tyler Warren the whole year.
Yeah.
So, and then when it came to defenses, the Vikings defense had 18, Seahawks had 17, and your Miami Dolphins had 16 points. So, it's definitely matchup dependent, but I wasn't expecting the Commanders to be so inept offensively this past week.
It was really bad. The Commanders have a lot of issues right now.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are all my top performers of the week. Any others that I missed?
The only one I would just highlight is JSN had one bad week for the Seahawks. Yeah. That was clearly an anomaly. So he came in with 28 points. Someone you can be very comfortable putting in your lineup. That team is a really good team right now offensively, and pretty much week to week he's going to be the best player on their team.
Absolutely, yeah. JSN, he's carried your team this year. you're going to keep him in your lineup. There's no other way around it, no matter what the matchup is. And I don't know off the top of my head who Seattle's playing, but I think they've got a pretty good matchup. Let me look here.
Seattle's playing Indianapolis, which right now
they're playing the Colts, right? Yeah, so which probably actually leads to an idea that maybe starting those running backs would be either Kenneth Walker or Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be having the lead and they're going to be running out the clock. So those guys could take up a bit more of the offensive workload.
Exactly. Yep.
But going to the worst performances of the week, obviously the one in Monday night's game, Jalen Hurts ended with 0.4 points. Which is
Billy?
Just insane. But you throw 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
And wait, somebody said Miami's washed up.
Well, we were washed up a month ago, but
yeah, you're 4
if you want to have a Miami Dolphins podcast, I have plenty of content. We can go through that. But this is a fantasy show, so I'll leave that be.
Yes. So welcome to the show, Ryan. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry, I missed your initial comment because the first one that came through just says diggers, and I'm not really sure what that meant. But nice, good to throw out a little jab in there. We like that. We like to banter a bit with our guests. So thanks for tuning in. What team are you a fan of? If you don't want to throw that into the chat, I'll get back to it. But while we talk a little bit more about some of those worst performances of the week. Oh, I better minimize that. There we go. The other quarterback that really had a rough week was actually the person who I said to bench was Jaden Daniels going against the Vikings. He ended up with 2.72 points. He did leave in the third quarter, re-injuring his left elbow after throwing an interception to Andrew Van Ginkel, but he was not doing all that well before he got injured. So I don't know if that elbow was still messing with him or if it was the fact that the Vikings were playing with a lead and Brian Flores was able to open up his bag of tricks and really confuse the heck out of the Commanders offense because he just was all out of sorts, had very few completions. Any other quarterbacks that I'm missing?
It's not his fault because he had so many drops in this game, but there's a lot of concern about Patrick Mahomes right now and his production from a fantasy perspective. Mm-hmm. And a lot of you probably drafted him in the first couple of rounds as kind of your stalwart. I can get 20, 25 points out of this player, but he had 6.3 points in that game. And that offense, their pass catchers drop balls at a rate that I just did not expect. Travis Kelce looks washed right now. He doesn't really have any support from his team. He just looks frustrated. And that team, 6-7, and really kind of languishing right now, not looking good.
Yeah, I agree there. Rashee Rice, he had some pretty monumental drops in that game. And I don't know if was one of them after the play where he got just leveled. He's trying to catch the ball and he just got laid out. I don't remember when that took place during the game, but I've seen the video since, and it was a rough it was a rough hit. He obviously didn't catch the ball, but it was just so perfectly timed. And then, but at the end of the game, it was the 4th down play. Again, pass right to him across the middle, would have been a first down, and just dropped it.
Yeah,
and Travis Kelce had that one too that turned into an interception.
That's what I was going to say. Is Travis Kelce had a stretch there where 2 or 3 balls that he dropped resulted in game-changing plays, and you just can't do that for your quarterback. And Mahomes is starting to get to that point where you can just tell he doesn't trust his receivers, and when you don't trust your receivers, mistakes happen.
Yep. Yeah, that Chiefs offense is really sputtering like we have never seen. We haven't seen since in the last 5 years.
Yep.
So, so moving on to running backs. Some guys that, again, I think had pretty rough weeks. Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall, both scoring less than 5 points. Ashton Genty, who, again, is somebody that I had on my sit list last week, and he scored 5.8 points for the Raiders going against the Broncos. So, there's a number of those running backs. And the funny thing is nobody on the show knows this, but I actually messaged Josh on Sunday morning because in one of my leagues, it's a league where you only get points essentially for touchdowns. And I had a decision to make for my last starting offensive spot between Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, and Brees Hall.
Yep.
And I was kind of leaning towards Brees Hall, and Josh was like, no, you got to go Chase Brown. And
first quarter touchdown.
Yeah, first quarter touchdown, second quarter touchdown.
No yards.
Yeah, didn't get a whole lot of yards. But again, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So again, Josh, thank you so much for your help with that. I always every time that I have a question, especially with that league, I go to Josh every Sunday morning. So you can do the same thing with us. Just send messages and go to our X account, send us a message, post something, tag us. We'll respond.
Yep.
Let's see. Some of the other players that had some down weeks. George Pickens, watching him just not really put in the effort.
Weird, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like the Pittsburgh Steelers fans ever said anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
He's had a good year for the Cowboys.
He has, but boy, yes. Leopard can't change its stripes though, or change its spots.
Yeah.
I think they have spots, not stripes. Anyway, let's see. Oh, I did
Justin. We'll get to Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah. Brian, don't worry. We're gonna get to this. He is on my list. He is somebody that I had as a bench last week. So when we get to the receivers, George Pickens, Romeo Doubs, 0 catches. Again, the Green Bay offense.
Yeah.
It's Christian Watson, somebody that you can depend on, I think, but nobody else really as far as receivers go. Although Jaden Reed is back. You just don't know.
That's who they've always been.
A combination of Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson combined to score 5 points.
Yeah.
For the Chargers, awful. And then Justin Jefferson, 3.1 points, who was somebody that I had as a sit last week on my list of players. So he definitely is somebody that was on our worst performer, projected to be a worst performer. We'll see if we think about that, how we think about that for next week. And then when it comes to other players, tight ends, for me, I had Travis Kelce, who only had 1.8 points, and then Tyler Warren, who had 3.7. I had actually projected him to be a all-star player last week. But when Daniel Jones went down with a torn Achilles tendon, that completely changed the game and the outlook for him. So that wasn't horrible decision. It's just unfortunate when another player gets hurt. And
can't predict injuries. It is what it is.
And when the backup is Riley Leonard, he comes in and he can't find Tyler Warren. Those things happen. So, any other poor performances that I missed?
Yeah, the only one I would say is a little disappointed in Rondé Gadsden Jr.
Yep.
Just didn't really perform at all, and the Chargers offense is a little bit like the Green Bay offense. Like week to week, it's a different guy every week. It's not really predictable.
Yeah,
so it's been a little hard to be a fantasy owner of a Charger because you just don't know week to week.
Yeah, that's very true. And even like Omarion Hampton, like I thought was going to be kind of their bell cow running back, has been splitting time after he came back last week with Kamani Vidal.
And we've talked about this before, but just sometimes in fantasy you have to think backwards.
Yep.
Good teams are harder in fantasy than bad teams. A lot of times you can pick 1 or 2 good players on a bad team and they're going to get performances because that's all they have. But
Right.
a team that has a lot of weapons and wins a lot of games and is up a lot early, harder from a fantasy perspective because sometimes you just don't know week to week. Like you may have a team that gets up 20 points and then their starters don't do a lot the rest of the game, or they can beat you 5 different ways. And so that guy doesn't do so well. This, like the Rams, you don't know week to week what they're going to do. So they have so many weapons. And so those good teams from a mental, like football perspective are fun to watch, but from a fantasy perspective can be very frustrating.
Yep, absolutely. Although if you think about who some of those key players are in those offenses. So for the Rams, yeah, you could have Puka Nacua, you have Devontae Adams, you've got Kyler Williams and Blake Corum. The one constant is Matthew Stafford.
Right.
He's a quarterback that will throw a number of touchdowns every single week.
Yep.
He's going to make that happen. I say Christian McCaffrey in the 49ers offense. He catches passes out of the backfield. They build their offense around him. So even though they're a successful team and they have a good record, he is always going to be putting up points in that kind of an offense. But it's hard to count on George Kittle sometimes. Brock Purdy. Obviously. Brandon Ayuk is out the door. That's a different story altogether. But Ricky Pearsall, you don't know who of the receivers are going to get those catches
exactly
in San Francisco. But anyway, yes, that's a great point about being able to have players from those big time offenses or big time teams.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some of the injuries from the past week. There's obviously a number that got to talk about that are going to impact a number of players. Obviously, Daniel Jones getting hurt in Indianapolis, that's going to impact Michael Pittman Jr., Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce, maybe Jonathan Taylor too, right?
Yeah.
I do have him listed as well. Like they're going to have to rely on him to run the ball more, but is the defense going to know that and be able to stack the box and be able to really shut him down? Running the ball. So that's the other part of when you've got a team that it has to rely on one player, especially a running back. If you don't have a passing game to take some of the pressure off, it makes it very difficult for them to operate. So that's one to think about. Jaden Daniels, again, re-injured his elbow, is going to be out this week. Who knows if he's going to be coming back at all this year. Let's see. T. Higgins is back in concussion protocol. Not sure if he'll be back to play this Sunday, but could be. Drake London is still going to be out tomorrow night against Tampa Bay. Atlanta against Tampa Bay is our third Thursday night game. So not sure exactly what to expect there. Roma Dunze found out that he's been dealing with a stress fracture in his foot the past couple of weeks, which explains why he started out the season really, really good and has done nothing for the last month and a half. So I think he's been dealing with this for a while and is somebody that I would stash on your bench and potentially even look to replace.
At this point, why? As a receiver, a foot injury is death. Because if you can't cut hard on that foot, the DBs know it, and you're rounding your routes out, and you don't have any speed. You're not going to get open. That's the problem.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb obviously left the game with a concussion, hitting his head on the turf in the end zone. So I think he's probably going to be playing against the Vikings. I think they listed him as limited in practice today. So which leads to me to believe that he's probably going to clear concussion protocol, but definitely something to keep an eye on throughout the rest of this week. And then Mike Evans actually two things. Mike Evans has been removed from the IR list. So he is probably going to be playing tomorrow night, which should change up how the Buccaneers operate. Having Mike Evans back and Jalen McMillan are both going to be returning tomorrow. I think Chris Godwin is, I'm not sure about him, but Emeka Egbuka, I think it's going to benefit Emeka Egbuka having all of these other wide receivers back and freeing him up a little bit more to perform the way he did at the beginning of the season.
It's clear that without Mike Evans, that offense has been taking a regression. So, how IR works, a lot of teams just dump a guy when they're on IR. They think they're not going to play anymore. You might be able to pick Mike Evans up off of the wire, and if you can, I would do it, because as soon as he's activated, I have a feeling that Baker is going to go right back to him.
Yep. Yeah, actually, I did pick him up in the league I have with my touchdown heavy league. So I have him and Emeka Egbuka. So I got to try and decide which one to put in the lineup. So I might be. Well, actually, they're tomorrow night, so we might have to talk after the show, just to get your expert advice on what you would do there. So, and then the other injury to note is Trey Benson will not be activated off the IR, so he is done for the season. So if you picked him up when he started going through that 21-day window, you can drop him. He's not going to be playing at all this season. So let's see. Looking at any other injuries that
no, those are the main ones. I will say though, you probably may have heard that Devon Achane only played about a third of the game. He still had over 100 yards.
Right. Well,
fine. He fell on the football, so they reported it was a rib injury, and there's some bruising there, but there's no structural damage. He could have gone back in the game, but because the Dolphins were destroying the Jets 21-0 early in the first quarter, they just said, we don't need you. Jalen Wright came in and played really well. So, if you're a Devon Achane owner, which a lot of you are, don't worry. He's going to play Monday.
Yep. But I would still, as a handcuff, again, we'll talk about that here, pick up Jalen Wright.
He's been a really good player,
He went over 100 yards as well in the game, scored a touchdown. So when we talk about waivers, definitely pick him up. Talked about quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is going to be – I can't see how they would not have him be the starting quarterback the rest of the season. And he is going to just chuck the ball down the field, maybe not – win games, but like you talked about earlier, bad teams can put up big fantasy football points. So Shedeur Sanders is definitely somebody worth picking up, especially if you're in a league where you do not where they don't deduct points for interceptions and turnovers.
Right.
If he's just going to be getting points for passing yardage and touchdowns, he's somebody to have on your roster and potentially start.
Have another good quarterback that you can find on there, because the Cleveland Browns in December very weather dependent.
Yep. Oh, we'll talk about the weather for this weekend too, and they're on that list of cool or bad weather games. Jacoby Brissett, again, somebody that should be rostered in pretty much every league. Probably not starting this week because again they're taking on the Houston Texans, and even though he seems to be able to throw the ball against any defense, I would be a little bit leery to have him in your lineup just because of how good the Texans defense is.
Yeah, agreed.
Running backs. What's that, sir?
Best defense in the league right now.
Absolutely. Just they're hands down, and they're gonna be trouble for whoever they face in the playoffs, because I think they're gonna make the playoffs. Yeah.
Yep.
When it comes to running backs to pick up, again, Blake Corum, Chris Rodriguez in Washington, he is seeming to be their early down and goal line back. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt didn't enter the game until the third quarter against the Vikings. Jeremy McNichols is strictly a third down receiving back. Christian Rodriguez is going to get the bulk of the carries in Washington. And with Marcus Mariota under center this week, I think they're going to be trying to rely on him as much as possible. So definitely somebody worth picking up. And actually, I think he's a low-end flex RB2 type player, again, depending on your roster.
Yeah, if you've got him in your lineup, you better have a really good lineup not to be putting him in there.
Yeah, exactly. Devin Singletary has, again, great matchup this week. He seems to have replaced, at least according to, looking at the last game that the Giants played, because they were off last week, he's surpassed Tyrone Tracy, I think, in the number of carries that he's going to be getting. There's still a little bit of a timeshare, but But I think Devin Singletary is going to be good, and they're playing Washington. So it's Giants against Washington should be a fairly high-scoring game. You can start pretty much anybody from either one of those teams to put up some points. So it could be a 41-38 game, and you want to be part of that if you can. And then the other one, and then Jalen Wright, who we already talked about. At receiver, Devon Vele, who you mentioned last week. Again, great insight there. Scored a touchdown and was a huge performer for the Saints. Luther Burden is somebody that is really stepping up in Chicago, especially with Rome Odunze's foot injury. I don't think I would start any of them this week because the Bears have a rough matchup this week. Again,
they got some weather too. It's going to be cold.
It's
we'll talk about that later. But it's
they're playing Cleveland, and Cleveland's got a good defense. So I wouldn't necessarily start him, but he's definitely worth having on your roster, especially. I don't know exactly what the matchups are for the next couple of weeks, but if you get to the next round of the playoffs, you want to make sure you have some options that are going to get some looks. I did make a note about Ryan Flory. I think that's how. Wow,
Flory,
Flournoy. I think it sounds.
Flournoy is my best guess.
If I pronounce every single letter in his name, it comes out as Well, actually, it's Flournoy.
But who knows?
Anyway, but again, if he's somebody that you could potentially lock in if CD Lamb is inactive for that game Sunday night against the Vikings. Jaden Reed is back. Pat Bryant has really passed up Troy Franklin in Denver, and I know we've talked about how good Troy Franklin was. But Troy Franklin has really slid down the pecking order of receiving options there in Denver. So definitely somebody to maybe steer away from and go to Pat Bryant potentially if you have a little faith in that Denver offense, if they've got a good matchup. And then a tight end, Harold Fannin and Darren Waller are the guys that you should be picking up and looking at a pickup. Excuse me. If you have a situation with Tyler Warren or somebody like that who's maybe banged up. I think George Kittle is a little bit banged up. I think Travis Kelce is a little bit banged up. If you don't trust the Chiefs offense, those are some guys that you can pick up. Harold Fannin seems to be a favorite target for Shedeur Sanders.
For sure.
Definitely worth picking up there.
And if you got a touchdown heavy league like Glen does, Darren Waller, they looking for him in the red zone.
Yeah.
It seems like almost half his catches this year are touchdowns. So and he's now pretty fully healthy I think it's his third game back since his injury. He should be getting more snaps. And against the Steelers, who they traded their tight end Jonnu Smith to the Steelers, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to showcase Darren Waller to prove that trade was a win. Just FYI.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Darren Waller has a big game this week.
Well, I've got Darren Waller in my lineup to replace Tyler Warren in my family league and first round of the playoffs, and I desperately need to advance to the semifinals next week. So anyway, all right, we're going to take a quick break here. I'll come back in a couple of minutes. Again, you're watching the End Zone Oracle here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
All right, welcome back to the End Zone Oracle here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please check out our sponsors. They help make our station run, and they really need your support. So Planet Jerky is absolutely a fantastic snack. I got some stickers with my last order, and they're on my water bottle. So got to try to always promote that. It's premium brisket beef jerky. Absolutely fantastic. Perfect snack when you hit that time of the day where you just need a little bit of energy. It is just pure beef brisket. No fillers, nothing added to it. It's just pure protein deliciousness. So definitely order some planetjerky.net. And then if you're looking for some workout apparel, maybe you've got somebody in your family that is talking about their New Year's resolution and they want to work out more, and they need some a gift for Christmas or the holidays. Vital Apparel is the thing to do. You go to their site. Got great workout gear, shorts, shirts, anything you need. 15% off. You use the code IESR, and part of those proceeds go to help with mental health research. So you can't go wrong. Perfect way to get some gear for a loved one that is making their wellness and fitness a goal for 2026. You can get them something and have it for the holidays. Give it to them. They can start off the new year start off their New Year's resolution with the right gear.
Like what did Dion say? If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, you pay good. Isn't something like that? Like you want to look good when you're working out in January.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Right. All right. Let's get back to our show. So next segment, start, sit, quit. Kind of one of our staples here on the End Zone Oracle. So for this one, I've actually going to use players from my own roster in our IESR league at the running back position. So for me, the one to start of these three is Quinshon Judkins. Cleveland going against Chicago. I think they're going to be able to run the ball pretty well. It's going to be cold. He knows how to get in the end zone. He catches passes out of the backfield. Quinshon Judkins is the guy for me that's going to be in my starting lineup. The guy I'm going to be sending to the bench is Rico Dowdle. Early in the season, Rico Dowdle was an every week starter. Like you had to, if he was playing, you put him in your lineup. Part of that was Chuba Hubbard was banged up. since he's come back, it's been a timeshare. So until they really work it out, I think you got to keep Rico Dowdle on your bench. At least he is for me. And then the guy that I'm cutting loose is DeAndre Swift. He's been so inconsistent. It's been a timeshare between him and Kyle Monangai. He catches some passes out of the backfield, but he hasn't been the player that they anticipated him being. He hasn't been that Jahmyr Gibbs type of running back for Ben Johnson in Chicago. He does okay, but again, it's a timeshare. He's not going to get you any touchdowns, because if they get close, that's where Kyle Monangai gets the ball. He comes into the game and he hammers the ball into the end zone. So Monangai is great for the touchdown heavy league that I'm in, but I just don't have any faith in DeAndre Swift, being anything besides somebody that you would only put him in your lineup in case of emergency. And there's a lot of guys on my team that would have to get hurt in order to get him into one of my 2 running back spots.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. How about for you?
So I went to the quarterback route today. So I have a start bench and give up on for the quarterback position. And for me, the start is Trevor Lawrence. This is a team that is looking really good offensively lately. They're definitely in that conversation for one of the better teams in the AFC right now. And they're playing a Jets team that's just been eviscerated with injuries and trades. And honestly, they just don't look like they have much on defense right now. And I would expect Trevor Lawrence to be able to make some hay with that team this week. I don't know who the person is that he's going to get all of those yards and touchdowns to. The Jaguars are one of those teams where you just don't know weapons, which one's going to step up week to week. But I can, to Glen's point earlier in the show, when you have a lot of weapons, the one constant you do have is the quarterback. And I think that the Jets are going to give up 28 to 30 points just writ large. They're just going to do it. It's their baseline every week. They're just not a very good defensive team right now. And Trevor Lawrence is going to benefit from that. My bench, and I kind of hinted at this earlier, Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't trust him right now. That team just looks completely discombobulated. They're playing an LA Charger team that, quite frankly, is better than them right now. And I wouldn't trust it. It doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes can't have a Patrick Mahomes performance, because of course he's going to have 1 or 2 more of those this year. But are you going to stake your playoffs on it right now with those weapons and what they're not doing for him? I wouldn't do it. So I'd be comfortable benching him for even like a Justin Herbert or a Trevor Lawrence or one of those types of quarterbacks. That's kind of those you would have thought you wouldn't have drafted him over them, but they're playing better than he is right now. And my give up, and I don't even have to have a long explanation for this. You should be giving up on Tua. He's awful. He's not worth he hasn't thrown for 200 yards in I think 4 or 5 straight games. The running game in Miami is phenomenal right now. And the staff in Miami has figured that out. And they are running the ball down the throats of the defense every single week. They are expecting Tua to manage the game. He's not throwing the football down the field. You're not going to get good stats from him. He's one of the leaders in the NFL in interceptions. So you can't trust him not to throw a stupid ball or 2 to get an interception. I would not. There's probably 2 or 3 quarterbacks, maybe Riley Leonard, that you would pick. That's about it. There's somebody on the waiver wire, I promise you, that's going to give you a higher floor than Tua Tagovailoa. Do not start him under any circumstances in a playoff game, because you're just asking for trouble. Yeah,
very good point. And going back to Mahomes, I don't know that it's been a long time. It's been a few years since Mahomes has been a 350, 3 or 4 touchdown kind of player anyway. And so when he's at the 225, 250 yard range and 1 to 2 touchdowns, that's not a high level quarterback. That's not a top 5 or 6 quarterback in the draft. So, going into these years, especially the way that they looked last year, I didn't have a whole lot of faith in Patrick Mahomes. He would have probably been number 8 on my draft board when it came to quarterbacks, because of the team is way more focused on defense and running the ball or they were last year anyway. They didn't really have a good offensive line. They were without Rashee Rice for a number of weeks. Xavier Worthy is taking a step back. Travis Kelce's another year older. He just doesn't have those weapons to be a superstar quarterback where he's going to be putting up 350, 400 yards in a game.
It takes me back to about 15 years ago, and we're talking about Phillip Rivers now, right?
Yeah.
As a 44-year-old quarterback coming back to the Colts, which is insane. But back 15 years ago, there was this big debate in fantasy about Tom Brady versus someone like Phillip Rivers. Tom Brady was the better quarterback. The Patriots didn't rely on him to go out there and single-handedly win the game, though. They relied on him to make pointed throws when it mattered, when they needed him in a close game. But from a fantasy perspective, Phillip Rivers was always way more valuable because it was like, we turn the offense over to this guy and we're going to expect him to throw for 400 yards to be able to be competitive as a Chargers fan, right?
Right.
And so from a fantasy perspective, Phillip Rivers was way more valuable than Tom Brady, with the one exception of the 2007 season. But Tom Brady was the better quarterback. And that's what Patrick Mahomes is for the Chiefs. They rely on him to be able to make the clutch plays when it matters, but they're not asking him to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns a game, to your point.
Yep. Well, and that you bringing up Tom Brady reminds me of one of the leagues I was in, going back to the mid 2000s, because I've been doing this for quite a while. And in that league, there was somebody new to the league, and he drafted Tom Brady in the first round. And this is before he had Randy Moss. Maybe it was the year that Randy Moss actually went to the Patriots. Yeah. And we're all just sitting there looking at each other like, what? Did we change the scoring to give points for leadership? Because I don't understand this. I don't understand this pick. And he ends up, and I think it was that 2007 year, because
that was
it went huge and threw 50 some touchdown passes or whatever it was. It was just insane. We're like, oh, okay. Well, it wasn't.
And then it wasn't a sound strategy the rest of Tom Brady's career, before or after.
Right. He was
1 year.
Mm-hmm. He was never a huge fantasy football leader. So anyway, great story though. But anyway, so let's go on to our next segment here, and that's to look at. Let's go panic or patience, right? Let's talk about a few guys that, should we panic? Should we have some patience? We're getting into the playoff season. How about a guy that has been disappointing all year long? I'm not sure if I should go by his initials of BT or if I should just change his nickname to just Ghost. Brian Thomas Jr. Is Casper? I don't know. He's just invisible out there on the football field for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. And we talked earlier about who's going to get those catches in Jacksonville from Trevor Lawrence. I think Jacoby Myers and Brenton Strange are going to get more attention than Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah. I mean, I am the foremost of the people that are offended by this, because that was my number one, this guy's going to wreck the league this year pick. And it just hasn't happened. Mm-hmm. And it's just been very frustrating. I'm in full panic mode with him. Like I said, I actually really like Jacksonville from an offensive perspective this week against the Jets. Does that mean that's going to translate to Brian Thomas? Probably not at this point. Like, it doesn't look like it. So, yeah, I'm in full panic mode. Like, if you drafted him, you probably don't care, because you're probably not in the playoff.
Yeah, the one league that I do have him is the IESR league, and I'm out of the playoffs. So, yeah. And I've still got him on my roster, but there's no, when I look at my team, I'm not putting him in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just which is aggravating. All right. How about Jalen Hurts? Panic or patience with Jalen Hurts?
I keep predicting that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to figure it out and become the championship team that they are, and it just keeps not happening. There's something going on in that locker room that's hard to really pin down. I thought they were going to waste the Bears on that Black Friday performance, and they did not. They lost. And then I certainly thought they were going to bounce back last week, and they lost in overtime with a game-losing interception by Jalen Hurts. Like, at this point, you have to panic because the production is just not there.
Yeah, and if you drafted him to be your starting quarterback, odds are you're probably not in the playoff hunt too much either. I mean, he hasn't had the rushing touchdowns. He hasn't, which was kind of the key to drafting him.
The teams
is if you're drafting him, it's for the rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, the teams have finally kind of figured out the tush push. Like the Bears got a fumble recovery off of it, and there's been a couple stops. It's not the automatic that it used to be, which is nice for the rest of the league, but like it's not good for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, and I think part of that though too is I think the referees are paying attention a little bit more when they see how many offensive linemen move before the ball is snapped.
Yeah.
Which hadn't been called, and now I think they're starting to call it, and they're starting to crack down on it, and that limits the effectiveness of that tush push as well too.
Yep.
All right, how about just all the Colts offensive weapons? How much do you think that is going to impact their usefulness here in the playoff run? So you're talking Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and Jonathan Taylor.
From my perspective, it makes Alec Pierce completely unstartable.
Yep.
He's a deep threat only. They're not going to throw downfield because they're not going to trust whoever they bring into the game to do that. So it makes him completely unstartable. If Phillip Rivers starts, if they activate him and start him, I think Tyler Warren still has value because a quarterback that's a statue who's probably not trying to get hit is going to look for the tight end. Okay, so you still have some value there. He's not going to hold on to the football, so he's going to be looking to his easiest escape route, which typically is a big-bodied tight end, which Tyler Warren is. So that's the one guy I'd be careful. If you have Jonathan Taylor, you're putting him in your lineup and you're starting him because, like, what else are you going to do? But I would just say, just understand, if he doesn't have a great game, it's probably because there's 8 men in the box. They're going to dare Phillip Rivers or Riley Leonard to throw the football down the field, and it's probably not going to work. So, it definitely limits Jonathan Taylor's effectiveness. I'm not sitting here telling you need to replace him in your starting lineup because that would be asinine. He's the best running back in football. And I'm saying that as a Dolphins fan who I'm struggling not to say that Devon Achane's the best running back in football, but I understand what Jonathan Taylor's doing in the NFL right now. But yeah, he's definitely going to be dealing with a lot of men in the box right now. Yeah.
Well, and he'll be lucky if there's only eight in the box. I think it's going to be closer to 9 and 10.
Right.
But we'll see. But that's a great point about Tyler Warren. He's not going to be in my lineup this week, but we'll see how things go for the Colts this week. And maybe he'll get back in my lineup if I make it to the next round.
If Riley Leonard's the quarterback, I would be really skeptical about putting Tyler Warren out there because Riley Leonard just showed nothing last week.
Right.
But Phillip Rivers is smart. He may not be able to run a 6-second 40-yard dash, but he's smart. He's going to get the ball out. And so Tyler Warren has a inflated value if Phillip Rivers is activated. They're not going to activate him unless he's going to play. So if he's activated, he's probably going to start and he's going to throw it quickly. He's not going to let himself get hit because he's not played in 5 years and he's 44 years old. And he was a statue when he played.
Right. Do you know the last time, if you heard the stat today, the last time a quarterback came back to play after being away from the game for 5 years and was also 44 years old?
I can't imagine.
Steve DeBerg. Does that name ring a bell to you at all?
Oh, yeah. He used to be a Dolphin and he was Chief, and he backed up Marino for a minute. Yeah, no, I know Steve DeBerg very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in San Francisco first before Joe Montana. He was in Denver before John Elway. He was in Miami before Marino, or with Marino,
With Marino, yes.
and with the Chiefs for a number
Yeah.
of years. Retired, came back in 1998 with the Atlanta Falcons.
That's right. I do. They went to the Super Bowl that year, didn't they?
They did win the Super Bowl that year, and
They
they
didn't
had
win it,
him
but they went to it.
Because the quarterback that they had that season was often injured. Chris Chandler,
The Dirty Birds. I remember
with
that team.
which again, 98 is a tough year for me to talk about.
Oh, I know. I remember that game very well.
But because Chris Chandler, whose nickname famously was Crystal Chandelier, because he was super fragile, brought him in. Steve DeBerg, I think he went 9 for 20, 144 yards and an interception or something like that. So it was a horrible situation. Now, Phillip Rivers is much better quarterback than Steve DeBerg ever was.
He was a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah, clock's going to get reset if he gets added to the active roster. The clock resets.
Correct. Like literally, he is like 2 months away from possibly being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And the homies, if he gets activated, has to reset that calendar for 5 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it gives us 5 years to talk about whether Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. So maybe he leads them to the Super Bowl. He gets the Super Bowl victory that he never had with the Chargers, and then he's got that final check mark on his resume for the Hall of Fame.
For those of you that are over 35 years old, you'll appreciate this. Phillip Rivers is a much better quarterback than Eli Manning. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, absolutely.
But a lot of people say that Eli Manning is going to get in over Phillip Rivers. Yeah, he was a part of a couple really good defensive teams where he had some clutch plays, but he was not half the quarterback in the regular season that Phillip Rivers was.
Okay, I appreciate you bringing up Eli Manning because if I remember correctly, there was a stretch where the Vikings played the Giants every single year for like 3 or 4 years in a row. And I believe he threw more touchdown passes to Minnesota Vikings players than he did against Minnesota Vikings players.
That's awesome.
He had more. He had so many pick sixes. Like he had like one every single game for like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I don't think he threw 3 touchdown passes against the Vikings during that time. So that to me is not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
The Chargers were a snake-bitten franchise that had injuries every single year during Phillip Rivers' run. Yep. But if he had just like Dan Marino, if he had better players around him, especially on defense, that guy would have won a championship or two, and he'd be a first balloter. He probably won't be now because he didn't win enough, and I understand that. But I don't ascribe wins to quarterbacks as much as other people do because I was taught by Dan Marino, like there's more to a team winning in football because it's not like NBA. You don't play offense and defense. You play one half of it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. The Chargers, they had LaDainian Tomlinson. And then Sean Merriman was supposed to be that huge stud defensive player for them and tore his blew out his knee and was never the same.
They got hurt. They got major injuries in every single year. They were the most snake-bitten franchise every year. It was crazy.
Well, and the thing was, like, the trade for the Eli Manning Phillip Rivers trade actually worked out pretty well for the Chargers, although the Giants were the ones that won the Super Bowls.
Go figure.
So again, all right, let's talk a little matchup. Some of the matchups for the week. So looking at some of our favorite matchups of the week. My favorite one, really, and this is with a player that has been a little disappointing this year. We talked about him last week. The Baltimore Ravens going against the Bengals. Lamar Jackson has been awful the last 3 weeks. He's one of our panic or patience discussions last week. But if he doesn't go off this week, against the Bengals, then I think we really gotta call it quits on Lamar Jackson. So for this season, anyway.
I have Lamar Jackson in 3 leagues. Every single one of them missed the playoffs. If you have Lamar Jackson, you're probably missed the playoffs because he's ruined your season. That's just the way it is. You had to draft him too high. It's been a nightmare season for Lamar Jackson.
Yep, and which again in the IESR league, that's who my quarterback is. So, anyway, but I do like the matchup. Surprisingly, I kind of like the Vikings going against the Cowboys. JJ McCarthy last week played well. He didn't carry the team by any means. They leaned on the running game, but Dallas's pass defense has been awful this year. So I could see JJ McCarthy, Justin Jefferson, each having a decent game. I think Justin Jefferson is somebody that I actually would start if I had him in any of my leagues, just because of how bad the Cowboys pass defense is. The one caveat to that is the Cowboys run defense is really going to be formidable, has been formidable. And I think the reason JJ McCarthy was successful last week is because they were able to run the ball pretty well. They averaged, I think before the, at the end of the game, JJ McCarthy took 3 straight kneel downs. But before that, the Vikings offense rushed for on average 5.3 yards per carry against the Commanders. And there was 150 some yards on, 30, close to 30 carries.
Yeah.
They were leaning on the running game and passing out of it. If they can't get the running game going, that could be a little bit of a tough day for JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, but I really the depth of the secondary in Dallas is really, really bad. So I would imagine they're going to roll coverage to Justin Jefferson. So if I was going to pick up a Minnesota Viking this week, honestly, I know he's had his ups and downs, but I would be comfortable starting Jordan Addison this week.
Yeah, actually, the one that I think probably has the best chance to go off would be Jalen Naylor, the third receiver. He's super fast. He has been really productive this year, and I could see him getting a touchdown, possibly anyway.
Yep.
So those are a couple of the favorable matchups. Any other ones that you? Yeah.
He's not anybody that you're not going to start anyway. We've talked about him already, but the Steelers run. I listened to a podcast of a Steelers podcaster, and he was talking about how poor their run defense has been lately. And I'm telling you, Devon Achane played a quarter and a half last week and had 120 yards of total offense. This kid is on a different level right now. I know he had a rib injury, but assuming he plays, you plug him in the lineup and you're going to get points. He's one of my favorite matchups of the week just because the Steelers' run defense is not good. It's going to be cold. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It's not going to be pretty there. And the running game is where it's at. And that particular insider who is a beat writer for the team said that team cannot stop a run right now. And this is not the team. The Dolphins are not the team. I know this is shocking to everybody because the Dolphins don't have exactly the reputation. But as someone who watches every snap of this team, this is one of the best rushing offenses in the NFL right now. And this is not the team the Steelers want to be playing right now. And I think they're going to have a big rushing game. If Devon Achane somehow doesn't play, which is not supposed to happen, to Glen's point, plug Jalen Wright in that game. He's running just as hard. He's not as dynamic, but he's running just as hard. He'll get you a floor of 9 to 12 points that you wouldn't expect from a backup running back. So either way, that Steelers run defense not very good, and the conditions are going to dictate that the running game is everything.
That's a good point. And as a reminder, they are playing on Monday night. So you're definitely going to want to have Jalen Wright on your roster before the Sunday games are kick off because you need to have a roster spot to put him on your team.
Yep.
All right. So how about let's go to our streaming defenses. So we got a few defenses that have some great matchups. My favorite one for this week is the Eagles going against the Raiders. I don't know if Jalen Carter's going to be back, but I feel like the Raiders offense is awful. They're going with Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback, I think, since replacing Geno Smith. There's no reason why they can't get at least 2 or 3 turnovers and 4 to 5 sacks. So, and I just don't see the Raiders scoring a bunch this weekend.
I love Seattle against Indianapolis. Like,
yeah,
if Riley Leonard is the quarterback, you're gonna probably get 2 or 3 picks. If it's Phillip Rivers, you're probably gonna get 6 or 7 sacks and very little production on offense because the man hasn't played football in 5 years. And Seattle has a penchant for scoring touchdowns, not just on defense, but in the kick return game as well. They've been very good at getting touchdowns off of defensive performance. So Seattle, like, you probably can't pick them up because anybody that has them on their team is probably stupid for dropping them. But if you got Seattle, that is a winning defense right now for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great. And then obviously the other ones that we always talk about is whoever's playing the Browns, whoever's playing the Jets, whoever's playing the Titans. So this week that's the Bears, Jacksonville, and the Niners going against the Titans. So those are all streaming defenses you could potentially pick up and go to.
The Titans have been playing a little bit better. And the Niners,
that's true. I got to give you that. They have been playing. They did play better last week against Cleveland, which they put up some numbers.
Cam's starting to figure it out a little bit.
So Cam Ward is starting to get some things going. Tony Pollard, the running game is starting to click there too. So maybe not quite so much with the Bears defense is probably Well, let's scratch that one then.
they play the Niners, so the Niners are still have a good defense. So
sorry, I was looking at
like you can still start them with confidence, but I would pick if you can pick a streaming defense, I'd pick the Bears, I'd pick the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'd pick the Eagles or against the Raiders. Like there's a lot of other picks. That might be one I stay away from because maybe the Titans just do stupid things to get points because their season's over, like you get that fake punt or whatever it is, and it ends up ruining your fantasy day. So I might stay away from them and just go with somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. So let's finish up our show. We got let's go to our start sets for the week. I'll run through all mine real quick. Can banter a little bit about them, but for me, starts at quarterback, Lamar Jackson and Jackson Dart. I think both of them have great matchups. Definitely worth starting if you've got them. As far as sits, I have Caleb Williams is the one to sit there. I kind of think Jordan Love as well. Going against, I think they're going against a Denver. Yeah, and Denver's defense has been pretty good in Denver. So, and Jordan Love he's just so hit and miss. Very inconsistent there.
Very. Yep.
Running backs, I like Travion Henderson this week going against the Bills. They've been good. Again, somebody to sit. Josh Jacobs. Again, I think Denver's defense has been really pretty good this year. Really shutting down a lot of players. As far as receivers, I've got Justin Jefferson as a start against the Cowboys.
There you go.
I wrote it down. It's it's here. As far as a player to sit, Xavier Worthy with the Chiefs. Going against they're just the Chiefs that we've talked about are just kind of a mess. As far as a start this week at tight end, George Kittle going against Tennessee. I think their defense is pretty suspect, and Tyler Warren is my sit of the week at tight end.
That's fair. Those are all good picks. I love the George Kittle matchup against Tennessee. Like their offense is playing a little better, but their defense is still really bad. And George Kittle's kind of due for a big performance.
And Harold Fannin had 25 points against Tennessee last week. So you think that
Yep.
I would imagine Brock Purdy's going to. I picked up Brock Purdy in one of my leagues to start at quarterback.
Yeah.
Over Jacoby Brissett.
Okay. Gotcha. Nope.
Any
that's
others
all.
that? How about who is your start of the week?
My start of the week is a deep dive. Okay, because
Okay.
the team he's playing is very good, but I like where I saw what he did last week. I think it's going to translate this week, and I have a feeling. Okay, so this is a Bills Patriots matchup, right? And I have a feeling Buffalo is going to do a belt to ass kind of performance against the Patriots this week. I think the Patriots have been feeling themselves. They're coming off a bye. Everyone's telling them they're the best team in the AFC East, and it's all good. And I think the Bills are going to come in there. They're still the more talented team. And I really like Josh Allen throwing to Dalton Knox.
Yep.
I think Dalton Knox, even though the Patriots have a good defense, I think Dalton Knox might be the best tight end in football this week coming up. I think they're going to really lean on that. That team, he does really well throwing to the tight ends. And I think the Bills are going to come out and make a statement in this game. And I think the Patriots are a little over their skis at the record they've had. They've had a very easy schedule, and they've already beaten the Bills once. And the Bills are going to come out swinging, and I think Dalton Knox is going to be the person that kind of lays the hammer down.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think the Bills are going to really step up this week. And then looking at the weather, because I do want to chat a little bit about that, because obviously we're here into December. Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about this. Browns and Bears, they're talking about -20 wind chill temperatures during that game. I think that's going to be really hard on the offenses, and so it's going to be. I think it's going to be a fairly low-scoring game. Dolphins and Steelers again. I think the weather's going to play a factor there in Pittsburgh with temperatures in the low 20s with some chance for some snow. A lot of running the ball there. Bills Patriots. Maybe 30 degrees temperature-wise and snow, and we all saw how well Josh Allen plays in the snow last week, and I don't know if Drake May can play in the snow as well as Josh Allen.
North Carolina, so this is we'll see. He gets thrown in there. We'll see.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes, and then some other ones with some low temps are going to be the Ravens against Bengals and Chargers against Chiefs. Because I know here in Minnesota this weekend we're going to be down into single digits on Saturday as a high. So a high of like 1 to 2 above zero. So
thank you.
That's going to be coming through the whole Midwest up here. So there's the outdoor games here in the Midwest area, whether it's Chicago, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. There's going to be some cold temperatures here at this time of the year.
The low got into the upper 40s here in Northern California, so that sounds really cold to me. I don't know how people do single digits. That's insane.
Oh well, yeah, and it's just kind of goes with the we got probably over the last day or so, 8 to 10 inches of snow. School was 2 hours late today, so
I have employees that live in your area of the woods, and they've been complaining about it nonstop for days.
So they got a chance to see it. So all right, well, let's see other things that. Oh, and then just again to give a recap about my teams. Went 2-1 this past week. I mentioned on Sunday that I thought I was going to get a win in all 3 leagues for the first time all season. And of course I made the mistake of saying that out loud to everybody in our group with IESR. And the reason was because I had about a 15-point lead going into Monday night, and I still had Omari in Hampton. He had Saquon Barkley, who had been doing nothing all season. He had Devontae Smith, and then the Chargers defense. I ended up losing by 5. And it was at the end of regulation. I was down by 1. The Chargers get the ball. Hampton runs off it, breaks off an 18-yard run. And then another couple of yards. I take the lead. They kick a field goal. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. And then the Eagles move all the way down the field. Big runs by Barkley and a big catch by Devontae Smith, and then cap it off with an interception by the Chargers defense. Sent me into the losers column. So I dropped from third place in the league to fourth place. Either way, I would have been playing this week, but it was a little unfortunate. But anyway, the other two leagues, highest points in the league. So
there you go.
I'm things are looking up in those two. Well, not so much. One's the IESR league, and I'm sitting on the outside looking in. But at least I get to try and take out Dan and keep him out of the playoffs, because right now he's in the 5th spot, and he needs to beat me to move into to replace Joey Jets.
There you go. All right.
So that's what I'm shooting for. I
have 8 leagues. I am in the playoffs in 1 league. It has not been a good year. And in fact, my only child, my firstborn and only born son, eliminated me from the playoffs in the league that I've been in since he was a baby. I've been in this league. And I brought him into the league a few years ago, and he eliminated me from that league's playoffs. So it has not been my favorite year ever. I made big bets on guys like Lamar Jackson and Brian Thomas, and it's just not worked out for me. But I do have, in my wife's league, I do have the number 1 seed. We're in the semifinals.
There you go.
Week. So it'll just be like, I need to win that league, not only for my redemption, but for my wife's sake. So hopefully we can make that happen.
Awesome. All right. Well, and actually in my family league, my son's got the number 1 seed.
There you go.
Yeah, he had the best record, most points, and so I teach him everything. I teach him everything I know, and then he beats me. That's what happens.
Yep, that's what happens.
So, anyway, all right. Well, thanks for everybody for tuning in, for all of the comments that came in. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. If you're in the playoffs, hope your team does well. And able to carry on and move on forward towards a fantasy football championship. Again, I'm Glen Ritter. You can I'm going to throw our information on again. So again, you can find me on X at Ritter13 and IESR Minnesota on TikTok. And for Josh, you can find him at Josh Ritter 13 on X and Josh.Ritter57 on TikTok. And for both of us, go on to X at Endzone IESR, and you can ask us questions. And for the station, follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Find our shows, find previous shows, like and subscribe. It helps the station keep running. So please check that out. And again, thanks so much for tuning in. Josh, thanks for being here. Do you want to hang out a little bit after the show and just chat through that question I had? All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. You're watching. We'll be back next week. Endzone Oracle here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.